And we're back to Chronicle of the Crowns, session 6, question mark. I think so. John's nodding. Very good. Professional GM over here. Right. So last time our heroes started with their long journey to the north. They've been to the Weeping Weald in the north, but this journey will take us quite a lot further than that. So last time we learned that the Covenant of the First Flame has brought a crusading army from the human lands to Strathfell, the city of Lord Beric, a sort of border prince beyond what is called colloquially the Crown Lands, or was before the human crown was lost. And Lord Beric and the Covenant Crusade army are both going to head north towards the old High Kingdom capital, now ruined city of Dol Siriath. And on the way, our heroes have discussed with Rathawen, seemingly a sorceress of some potency, who seem to have acted as the king being the one that resides in the ruined city of Dol Siriath, emissary, who was originally coming further south to accept the allegiance of Essagar, the magistrate of the Weeping Weald, and somehow slipped the leash, so to speak. So she is no longer in the thrall of the king in Dol Siriath, and our heroes wanted to sort of acquire whatever knowledge they could from her as we head north. And she has told us, and us being the heroes and suppose the watchers of the show that we're playing through here, that the ruins of Dol Siriath are occupied by a king who bears, quote unquote, the crown of flame. She claims that this crown is a product of sorcery and primordial fire lore, and it bestows upon the king, which she has not named this king, it's just the king, bestows upon the king potent gifts of both subtle and brutal dominance. And she claims that the king is not a sorcerer per se, but the power that he gets from the crown is such that it doesn't really matter. The distinction is kind of academic at that point. And the power of the king is such that he has authority over the living and the dead, and all those who even hear him speak are bound to serve him by the power of the crown of flame. So very dangerous to be anywhere nearby the king at all, within earshot even, much less being up close. And she has indicated that while she thinks that the crusading army arriving at the doorstep of Dol Siriath is definitely going to incite the king to basically retaliate and start a conquest further south. She also believes that because of the nature of the Crown of Flame and how it has imbued the king with sort of this absolute dominance, it's going to happen anyway. Like Crusaders or not, it's going to happen because of the nature of what the king is now. And she also believes, sort of as a result of all this, that the king, and by extension the Crown of Flame, are too powerful now to be stopped by any other power or warded off by any other power, especially because the true lost crown of Dol Siriath has been lost for so long that the powers of darkness have had basically free reign to creep into the world over so many centuries that it's the fight, it could be fought, but she thinks it's too late now. We've gone too long without the true crown, and now this Crown of Flame is too strong, and the king is too strong to be purely stopped by any craft. And we head north partially because Rathawen has promised our heroes that she will use her whatever she has to further their quest to retrieve the true crown. She says she knows where the true crown is, has indicated sort of vaguely the direction where the crown could be found, and has promised to help with that if our heroes help her recover a particular item from the reliquary of ruined Dol Siriath. An amulet of worth to her, apparently, because it is worth enough for her to go back to the capital of the king that she has just escaped the control of, to retrieve this thing. So this is all something that has been discussed over the weeks. It takes a couple of weeks to get up there, and you travel quickly relative to whoever's coming up, because it's armies, right? You're being followed by these big baggage trains, and sort of logistical solutions are very different.
Time to get their horses together.
Yeah, because they had a little accident with their tables. Yeah. So you get there relatively quickly. Let's say a couple weeks on the road, like, because your intent is to be quick. So you're making good time, but you're basically the expenses. You're not doing much else. You're blitzing through. Yep. Terrell?
In the process, obviously, we've had this conversation. Yep. We've traveled all this way. Mm-hmm. Just during that time frame, would it be all right, just from my own knowledge of lore, to sort of fact check some of the stuff she just claimed?
Because if you want to make a roll,
I have the dark wise, yeah, so I'd like to roll that to kind of.
That's interesting. Which part of this do you want to apply that to? Because that's sort of.
I'm not doubting the veracity of her claims that a crown made in the image of the three crowns would be very powerful. Mm-hmm. So that part I pretty much buy. I don't buy that any human can be is undefeatable. I mean, if anything, my arrogance would not allow that. Mm-hmm. But I'm sort of not entirely buying the idea that the darkness can't be thrown back by the power of the three crowns at this point. That's the whole design of them. And so I'm trying to just, I guess, through my dark wise, ascertain whether or not she actually has some insight, or if she's just that jaded. Mm-hmm. And I know jaded because we're elves, so we're all about that.
That's good.
Life,
that's good. Basically, you want to make sure that, is this something you think, or do you know this? Like,
right.
Have you been to the place where you can know this?
That's right. Is this an opinion or fact, basically?
Okay, yeah, good. So cool. Actually, you could do, you can make your dark wise, cool. And we'll put it as, what do we put this as? This is kind of deep level stuff.
I would say this is like pretty, like
it's pretty high up there.
It's basic in the sense that it's tied into the main function of the crowns, but it's a little more advanced in the sense of, like, knowing just how powerful they are, really. I suppose.
Yeah. So
probably somewhere in the middle, I'd imagine, of like.
Let me get
knowledge.
my sheet here in order. Okay, this is the thing that I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm gonna say, because I have a sort of baseline like chart here for obstacles.
Yep.
And obstacle 5 says an act that requires expertise. Does this sound like this requires expertise in the crowns? Because I'm kind of leaning towards that.
I guess because I don't want it to be that high of difficulty. I suppose in my mind, it's more of questioning how she can be certain that the darkness is that powerful.
Hey, Dark Watcher here. Could I assist him by any chance? Because I have
with what?
I have obscure history, right? And that might fall into the umbrella.
Yeah, that sounds like a thing you could do. So you call up like weird facts about basically the ancient history at this point.
Yeah, this is something I would include Cameron in, obviously, because I know he knows about this stuff as I do.
And you have time plenty to talk as you go and like compare, like, what do you think about this?
It's good that you mentioned that, because I learned that the elves have a thing.
Yes.
And we have plenty of time for us to research this amongst ourselves and to debate it, to think about it. But I get to add 2 dice if I do something carefully.
Oh, that's everyone can do shit. I think maybe
because I get but I get to do it a little bit better because I'm an elf.
Basically.
Yeah. Is that how it is?
I add 2 dice instead of 1. Is that how it is?
Oh, because everybody else.
Are we surprised that the elves get the premium treatment?
Bullshit. It's bullshit.
Because I'm shocked that the elves get the better version.
Okay, so let's
shocked and appalled, sir.
Then, because I think you're right about that. This is probably a pretty advanced question.
Yeah. No, that's something that we haven't touched at all, and that is entirely by my intent.
Okay.
because I wanted to get some, grounding on this before we bring in the carefully, quickly, and whatever the third one was that you can do. Mm-hmm. And you can apply these things to all things that you roll for, but it adjusts some bits around the check. So I haven't introduced that yet, but we will. And it's good that you brought it up because I hadn't really thought about it because I was kind of pushing it off to the side, like, let's get the baseline. I was just
reviewing traits and things like that, and I saw that roll, and I was like, ooh, I get more bonus dice.
Yeah. So there are things that you can say, like, oh, I want to do this carefully, and when you say that, I don't even remember because I didn't memorize them.
I feel like me and Cameron will want to carefully consider our position.
Is there not like a song you can do, like a song of Wikipedia or something like that you can summon some knowledge from?
So it sounds like we could actually break this in right now.
Yeah.
So let me quickly, unless you, John, have a page number for this. For me to quickly.
I don't have it for the actual action.
For the thing, So let me.
I would just look at it as an elf, but I'm pretty sure I know where it would be.
Oh, here we go.
You got it.
So carefully, patiently, and quickly.
Yeah.
So
give me the page reference you have.
29.
Okay. Cool.
Carefully means you increase the time by half, which you have. The time.
I have the time to do this.
It grants
for me, it's actually double to get the plus 2. But
Okay, so we're gonna say you roll your dark wise. We take our time across like this. Encompasses
2 weeks of us
travel,
debating what she's basically thinking about what she said.
Yeah. Sure. So you get the 2 extra dice and 1 from Cameron.
So it's 3.
3 extra dice, and it's going to be the 5.
I'm gonna need them. Yeah.
It's expertise. Actually having the understanding of the crowns because as we established, the crowns are kind of. Like they, especially for the dwarves and the elves, it exists. Like it's not a question mark, but it's niche because it's not at the forefront anymore because the system was broken. Like this is the old computer that you still have, but you are not doing the primary function with it anymore. So it's like there's the dudes who know about it, but for everyone, it's not that much of a big deal now.
And I need to score at least a single success, essentially. Yes.
You need 5 to get your thing.
Well, you know what I mean. Like I need to be at or above the. Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think if this is worth me throwing in persona point. I kind of feel like it is because it's going to dictate the entirety of our actions. It could possibly dictate the entirety of our actions going forward. And I don't feel like 7 dice against the 5 difficulties.
Yeah, that is still in the
very dicey.
It's in the sort of it's a good shot, but it's not.
I'm gonna throw in a persona point if you don't mind. I think.
And you can roll 6s if you spend the fate later.
That's right. So. Yeah, I will if I have to.
Yeah. So this is our like collectively on Glarver. Do you have anything to add? Like.
Please tell me now because.
Do you have any applicable things?
No.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm thinking like beer appraisal maybe doesn't help.
The only thing I have that could potentially help is I do have the trait folksy wisdom.
Yeah, no, it's a good shot.
It's a shot, not worth it.
Good. Try. Yeah, that's true. Worth a try.
Okay, although if it relates back, because obviously it's the crowns, if it relates back to any like military shiz, I don't have campaign wise.
Yeah, unfortunately here I think this is more esoteric.
Yeah, I think we're doing some of that human magic shit right now. I'm a
dwarf, man.
Shit, yeah.
I'm a dwarf. We don't really get down with this whole esoteric stuff.
Yeah.
I did get 1 6 in there.
There's 1 6.
But that's only 1 6. It would only bring me up to a 4 if it was a success, right?
Yep. Unless you roll a 6 with that.
And then I could do it again, and then.
Do you feel lucky?
I kind of do want to do it. Is that weird that I want to do it?
Do it.
No, it's entirely in the spirit of the thing.
I kind of want to do it. All right,
like shooting for the heart.
And this is as they say in Battlestar Galactica, Reimagine, rolling the hard 6, right?
Yeah, so. I was gonna go for that reference myself.
Were you going to?
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
All right, it was worth a shot though. It was worth it. Okay.
So.
But hey, that gives me a challenging against my dark wise, which I
and Matthew, what is your obscure history? You're muted.
My obscure history.
How many dice is it?
Two, B2.
Okay, put a challenging in that.
Yeah, it's a challenging for you too. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
actually, Darkwise is coming along nicely for me. Actually.
Yeah. As a result here, I think like you ponder this, you don't really reach a conclusion.
We're debating it mightily, I feel.
Yeah, you're debating
can't agree.
it, but I think the takeaway kind of is that you're not sure because it was so long ago. That's a problem, because you can recall stories, but stories can be, as you know, as a sort of song singer, you've heard a fair share of stories. They're not always an exact match, really, as to what happened.
Of course not.
And
I mean, if you're an elf, even we embellish a little bit, and we use our songs and story as history. But even we can embellish sometimes.
And I think the sort of more weighty result of all this is I think Rathawin probably overhears some of this stuff as you travel with her.
I mean, we're not necessarily trying to keep it a secret per se.
Yeah.
We're just debating the merits of
listening in. And I think there's an evening where you're making camp in the forest, and I think Rathawin does that thing where she very obviously has summoned some kind of power, as is her wont, because you're kind of clocked onto the fact that she has certain craft available to her.
She's a sorceress of some description.
She has summoned some kind of power to basically drown out the campfire almost completely in darkness. Like, you can still see the fire there, but it's not shining light at all anymore. And there's a sort of cavalcade of echoes of footfalls, heavy sort of iron shod or like armored boots. And you can catch glimpses in the starlight that is filtering in through the canopy. You can see, and you can see, but the thing is, you can't see that well because she is using magic to dampen everything here. But you can catch glimpses now in like passing in the distance of figures. It's people. There's a man-at-arms carrying a large pike and a big shield, sort of striding along. You can see knights walking with their shining blades, and
heavy infantry, basically.
Yeah, and you can see knights with sort of full armored, but they're sort of the faceplate of their helmet is turned up, as you do in that particular type of helmet, and it's all skulls underneath, and their lances are broken, but it's broken, but then it's been resharpened as a more brutal, more primitive stabbing implement. It's no longer the fine craft, and Rathawin does that thing much like a certain gray wizard from a different franchise does, where it's like her whisper kind of booms a bit as she goes, and she says, "You're talking about matters that you lack the understanding of, and I have brought this here for you to see what will happen if we should fail in Dol Siriath, and you would be wise to never discuss this again, especially in Dol Siriath or in these woods or anywhere that the servants of the king might hear. It is very foolish of you to even consider that defeat might not be an option. I need you to relinquish heroism. We are on a path towards survival at most. And if we are to survive the capital, you need to let go of this. If we fail at the capital and I am captured, this is what will be marching south. And I will be at the head.
I sort of take a drag on my pipe because I've been sat on a rock like smoking a pipe while they've been like nattering about this. I've seen all this going on. I say, no,
it's basically ghosts in the darkness.
I'll have been sort of like reaching for my axe, and then it becomes obvious she's done it. And I'm like, well, no, you see, Ray, that it's all very well saying that this sort of thing needs to be laid to one side, but Tyrael can no more lay aside the ways of his people than I could lay aside the ways of mine, any more than I could tell this rock here to transform into a person.
I just stare at the rock for a few seconds, being that we're in this old city where things...
We're near to it. We're not quite there yet.
Yeah, we're not. We're currently camping like some distance away from it, but
on the outskirts, right? Okay.
Yeah. It is on the way there, and I think unless Tyrell, you jump in.
All I will say in response is, your wise counsel is appreciated, Rathwin. Bit theatrical, but appreciated.
If we wander about in ignorance, you are welcome to enlighten us.
She listens to Glarver and Tyrell, and it's like the wind goes out of her. Like she was whipping herself into like her convictions.
She's clearly upset about this. I understand, but
and like the wind sort of goes out from her, and the ghostly footsteps in the forest, like they fade. The ghostly horseman just disappears into the distance, doesn't appear again, and the like suffocating darkness like seeps away, and now it's starlight again, and the campfire lighting normally, and she just sort of like slumps onto the ground against the rock that Garber was talking about, and just sort of like she's just completely defeated, and just stares into the fire and plays with some part of her outfit, like the hem of a tunic or something. This is completely deflated and devoid of, well, the fire that she was sort of sparking up there.
Have no fear, Wraithwing. We'll do our part. You can be assured of that.
I will be humming a tune and looking at the stars.
There are bigger things at play than just this city. I don't intend to die here. I intend to die far from this place one day. So,
Rathwin says, and we're going to cut there. She says, I hope you'll be successful. Dol Siriath is not a good place to die anymore. And we smash that, and then we jump forward to Dol Siriath, the place where you shouldn't die, according to Rathwin. So we'll get, nope, that's not the thing. Get my notes here. So you've made your, let's call it 3 weeks, because it is quite the distance and the terrain is not what it used to be. You can follow the road. Like it's quite easy to navigate because you know the great northern road to follow now, which isn't in the greatest of states, but it's still there. It's made of stone, so you can track it. It is very late autumn / early winter, and you do get the first snows because you're going north and also higher up in the altitude. And you do get the last week. You do have the sort of light sprinkles of the first snowflakes, and the air is quite chill indeed. up here. You've traveled quite far north, beyond the quote-unquote traditional crown lands now, as you've known them. And it has been hard going, but you made it here. You can only imagine what it's like to drag an army across this kind of terrain in this kind of season. It must be hard going, but then the largest portion of the army coming up here will be fanatics, presumably, and they will have command of flame. So maybe they'll be somewhat okay in that regard. So you're on, probably because of the nature of who you are, you're probably not striding down middle of the road. Sort of,
I know I wouldn't be.
sort of like swords out, ready to go. So you've been following the road, maybe not always on it though, and you're on the side of the road, hidden as you like, and this is what you see in front of you. So the glorious road to the capital of Dol Siriath has greatly diminished. The statuary, the edifices along the cracked stones of the road have been worn down and weathered, and also you see clear evidence of defacement by whatever malicious hands over the centuries. The road has brought you to the outskirts of the city. In the distance, you see the outer wall, and beyond it, the tops of houses. And the wall is dotted with towers, the signature architectural element of the old High Kingdom. And beyond the outer walls, further spires rise up against the skyline, residential, military, and otherwise, you think. Some of them crumbled, some of them crumbling, and others standing strong still. You can also see, sort of on the left, an ancient dam. And you know that this dam is on the Great River. It's also been a great help for your navigation here, because the Great River, you've come to find out, also runs through Dol Siriath. And they've placed a dam there to create a lake by the city. So there's a large lake on the western side of the city, between the city and the mountains. And through the dam runs the Great River and winds its way through the city of Dol Siriath. And the city itself sort of hugs the mountain and the lake tightly, and then spreads out from the edge of the incline and the shore of the water. So it's right on the lake, sort of the city, which is an artificial lake, but it's been there for quite a long while. The dam is ancient, that helps maintain the lake. Yeah, the dam seems functional, like it's standing strong and maintains the lake. You find yourselves by the roadside, probably, in the shelter of bushes and trees. And you see in front of you this outer wall, the perimeter, so to speak, of Dol Siriath. The wall itself, it's rough in places. It's not clearly maintained at all. It's some places crumbling, other places it's fine. You see in front of you a weathered gatehouse with a crumbling wall extending in either direction. This is where the Great Northern Road leads. This is sort of you suppose, the main gate on this side of the city anyway. And you see there's a menhir stone nearby, close enough for you to see what's in there on the stone, because there's an inscription in 3 different languages. Cameron can read very well the old High Kingdom there. Tyrell can read the Elvish, and Glarver can read the Dwarvish. And it is a welcome to Dol Siriath, the city of the Silver Mountain, which you can see the mountain behind it, where it takes its name. And yeah, the welcome is laid out in Elven, Dwarven, Old High Kingdom human tongue, welcoming all the peoples of the land to the great city of Dol Siriath. Curiously enough, it hasn't been defaced as such. There's the other statuary has been. This one seems fairly untouched. The gatehouse in front of you doesn't seem especially guarded, but you've seen some shapes at the top, which indicates that there's probably some guards there. But it's not like they're and it's open. The portcullis is non-functional. It's like pulled up, and you see it's broken anyway. Even if it was down, you could probably make it through. On the right side, there's like away from the city, there's a sort of steep hill rise, which turns into a cliff. And you can see some village construction up there with some movement as well. But that's outside of the city, sort of close by. A sort of like distance, maybe like suburb of the city proper, outside of the outer walls. But this is where we find ourselves in. And Rathawen has told you that this is the summer gate, and beyond this are the residential districts, and beyond those is the great river that slides through the city. And beyond the river itself is surrounded by this like promenade of open areas, markets, that sort of thing. Beyond that are the Silver Steps, which is the sort of noble quarter of the city, and that's where you need to go, because that's where the reliquary is.
As we're heading through, I'd like to, on one of these more sort of like graffitied areas of stone, I'd like to sort of run my hands along it and ponder the stone, and I want to try and use my reason of old stone to basically sort of like work out what recently happened that left physical evidence, like the defacement, basically.
Just to be clear, I mean, obviously that sounds great. More information is always good, but we're still in the tree line, looking at.
Yeah, you're
right. We haven't tried to attempt to infiltrate just yet. Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah. And you don't need to roll for that, Larver. You can get that one for free, because this is a little bit more fresh than what you've been doing previously.
Yeah, but if I roll for it, I get to bump my skill up.
Yeah, but you don't need to, because you can just have this one. So. Yeah, you can see like it's being hacked away deliberately, and you can see marks of fire as well. Like someone's been at work on these, deliberately trying to destroy the, like if there's human figurines, like hacking off hands at the wrist. And
so yeah, you guys, as I'm sort of running my hands along these like horrendously brutalized and vandalized stones, you'll hear me sort of murmuring disapprovingly under my breath as I'm sort of contemplating this like vandalism that's taking place.
And some of them are soot stained, like they've been either someone's tried to burn some of them, or maybe there's been something else burnt on them, or whatever that might be. But there's soot on some of them as well.
I'll be like murmuring and stuff like, oh, as though short-lived people think that they could burn the very bones of the earth with fire.
They're only human, Larvae. They're only human.
Well, yes, but that excuse only goes so far.
Well, fair.
Well, they once were human.
Rathwin, my dear.
Yes.
We're here. This is where you wanted to come.
Yes.
Now, I know how I personally might infiltrate this lovely city, but that may not apply so well to the three of you. So how did you think we were going to sneak our way past the guards that are clearly patrolling the walls? And I presume that there's patrols within the streets of the city, etc., etc.
But yes, there's quite a number, probably more since I last was here, especially in the residential quarters. That is where the king gathers his armies and new thralls.
Oh, that's just brilliant.
That is the place I would avoid. Now, I will say, I did not plan on coming here myself as such. I know that I cannot get in by myself, which is where you come in.
Yeah.
And my desperate hope lies in your expertise at this point.
I understand. Well, as you astutely put, I would not attempt to sneak in, at least not in the broad daylight, in this part of the city. However, I want to kind of just look around our surroundings and the surroundings near to the city. obviously we have the advantage of cover while we're on this side of.
Yeah.
Because there's a river in front of us, I believe.
No, not the river
Or
goes.
just the road terminates
through
in that open area.
The road
walls, right?
terminates
There's
in
a
what
gap between the
Rathwin
forest and the
calls
walls,
the summer gate, which is
Got
the
it.
gatehouse that you're looking at right now.
So essentially, I imagine that around the walls for a good number of feet, if not miles, has been clear cut. So in other words, we're not going to be approaching the city without being seen. Essentially, is what I'm trying to get at.
If there's,
I mean, at
good
nighttime we
sentries
might have
around.
a chance, but right.
I say, Cameron.
Glavia.
Yes?
Down an octave or two, please. Down an octave or two, please.
I was just examining the stone. What is it, Glavia?
I'll say I'm like resting my axe. Do you even have a weapon on you, man?
He is his own weapon.
Not in the way that you would describe as such. No.
The weapon is in here, Glavia. And same with dear Rathwin, I imagine.
Rathwin says, "Oh, I have a knife."
I'm like, well, in which case, I'll loan you. I repeat, loan you this. There you go, and I'll pass him the staff. I'm like, but I want it back.
Where did you find this?
So Cameron, it's a decorated sort of badge of office type like staff or scepter. It's not like a quarterstaff, but it's like let's say it's like a meter long. So it's not like a wand, but it's like a very long baton type deal, and it's quite decorative indeed. You can see the old kingdom symbology on it, fine craftsmanship. It's a sort of like an official's rank of like badge of rank.
You'll notice I seem fairly reluctant as I'm handing it over.
Are you carrying this relic from the old kingdom?
Well, yeah.
Rathwin immediately says yes.
You've been carrying this the entire time?
Yeah, it's been strapped to my pack.
We had mentioned it earlier. I did want you to examine it.
Sorry, I was distracted by the...
Yes, of course.
Obviously, I've rightfully claimed it, and like I say, I do want it back, but it strikes me that I can't have you running around without a Now, I'm sure your abilities are very impressive, but should you be unable to use them for any reason, I would feel far safer knowing that every member of the Fellowship has a physical weapon to hand.
I sort of test this way. Are you expecting me to hit people with this?
I do believe that's what he means.
Well, that's what one normally does with a weapon.
I don't think it's...
I mean, don't get me wrong, cutting jibes and barbs can get you so far, but...
I'm not sure it's...
I think get you very far, but yes.
It feels heavy enough that you could probably hurt someone if you hit them with it.
All I'm saying, Cameron, is it may not be the best weapon in the world. However, I would feel much better knowing that you have something to hand that could conceivably serve as a weapon should you need it.
That's very kind of you.
I want it back afterwards, so don't go damaging it too much.
So I could defend myself with it, but I must strive not to damage it.
Well, obviously,
in the heat of battle, you do what you have to.
Yes, I understand things happen. Of course, I'd prefer it come back to me in mint condition. Okay. However, I understand the ways of war, and these things happen. If it was necessary for the staff to be broken to preserve your life, I would expect you to do what is necessary.
I'll try to remember my basic training as a youth.
Now, obviously, as I have sworn, I will do my best to protect all members of the Fellowship, but if there should be a case when I am not around or I'm unable to fulfill that oath, I would feel safer knowing you are at least able to defend yourself to some capability.
I will use this gift.
It's not a gift, it's a loan.
Loan, sorry. As best as I can. I'm going to examine it. Do I notice any unusual properties about this thing, being from the... Because the sword we found was quite tasty.
Yeah, it's in the same vein. So clearly of old make. Very well made.
I tell you what this reminds me of, Cameron. It reminds me. There's many a tale in dwarvish lore of ancient parties of dwarves setting out on noble quests and retrieving ancient items of dwarvish or elder manufacture that marked them out as heroes or having achieved their quest. It is my hope. No. It is my hope that we may find such items in the city. And oh, if I could get my hands on one of them, I would dearly love to.
I appreciate what you're saying, but you do realize that you're walking across the bones of my ancestors, looting their history.
Well, they should have taken better bloody care of it then.
Point taken.
Next thing you know, you'll be losing magical crowns.
Oh, come now, Glavir. Too soon.
Speaking of this,
I just sort of look at my familiar and go, he got me with that one.
Anywho.
Yeah. So Brathwain says, speaking of this, I want to highlight the Crown of Flame was created to replace the lost crown.
Yes, after.
And it's done such a wonderful job, hasn't it?
I wish to stress this because it is very important for your sake. None of us can hear the king speak. We must not go into the fortress or wherever the king might be at the moment, probably in the fortress. We must not approach. If we see the king, we must flee. The same goes probably if we get detected. I chose not to say when we get detected, for I trying to hang on to the shreds of hope that we have. It is very, very, very important for us to avoid falling into the king's thrall.
Brathwain. This may seem like a silly question to you, sorceress times. However, as you may know of the elves, we like to sing a song. Our songs have power.
Not.
Most of the time, it's not aimed towards others, but obviously there's a certain effect to listening to us when we sing amongst the other races, we shall say. But that we have songs and stories about ourselves and, shall we say, members of our kind that go astray, who use their powers for ill or to do naughty things. And in a lot of those stories, oftentimes what we do is we simply just put something in our ears, and then the hero of the story, or heroess of the story, is able to overcome the sorcery. If the king's power, not all of it, but the power you seem to be most feared of, is through the power of his voice, would not shoving some wax in our ears do the trick?
It would be a primitive stopgap, which would work quite well, I think, for a time.
Obviously, it's not advantageous to lose one of our senses, and of course, if we're captured, they'll figure that out quite quickly, and we'll be back to where we began. But at least when we are free and mobile, it can give us an insulation, protection.
That's wonderful. Do you have candles for this?
I have camping equipment, I believe, on my sheet, so I probably could.
Yeah, you can
I probably could say that I have a candle or two.
I think everyone has like traveling equipment. You probably have a candle or two between all of you, so you can have, if you want to, candles for the occasion of melting them and pouring them in your ears if you want to.
Yes, so I think that is one step. Now, my second question, Rathwin. You demonstrated along the road a certain ability. I wonder if it can extend further. You see, I have a certain ability that allows me to go less seen, less heard, etc. But of course, not quite the same as invisibility. Just simply aids our kind in stealth. However, if you, being clearly accessing some of that human skullduggery of magic, could you casts sort of a glamour of invisibility amongst the three of you.
I can bring the pall of night. However, something unforeseen has happened, which I only learned at the campfire that night. We do not have the time here, but I have recovered some of my craft, which you have helped me, and I am thankful for that.
Of course.
You helped me with that. And you have given us this slim chance, which we are trying to work here. However, something was flawed. I must have made a mistake. I don't quite know what it is yet.
Your powers have not returned to their normal strength.
What I do know is that, and I probably should have seen it coming, but it appears that while I have shaken most of the thrall, I have not shaken all of it. And I sense the eye of the king opening that night as I conjured the pall of night.
So in other words, he can detect you when you use your powers.
I think the king will know when I invoke my craft.
Would that apply to Cameron and myself, or simply just yourself?
I do not think so. It must be because of
your previous
the connection that I share, or some new flaw in my wretched existence. But whatever it is, I should not wish to bring further attention unless it is necessary. I'm not afraid of such. I am now very, very well equipped to be a distraction as it was. That is something I was thinking about as we traveled these long weeks, but I do not know quite how to balance my desire of taking you to the reliquary and safely guiding you through the city and not drawing the attention of the king, or staying outside and definitely drawing the attention of the king away from you, but depriving you of my whatever meager guidance I can give you to get.
Well, if you could just point us in the right direction and tell us what you're looking to recover.
You propose that I stay outside.
Yes. You take Cyrodiil, and I pat the side of my horse. You could be on his back. You could stride up to the gate. You could do some mumbo jumbo that would perhaps distract the king and his forces. We could then slip in through one of the other gates, make our way to it was the Silver Step Quarter, I believe.
Silver Steps, yes.
Right.
Right.
And Cyrodiil is he might not look up, but he's the fastest, aren't you, Cyrodiil? Oh, you're so fast. So unless your king has magical cavalry, he should be able to outrun anyone that pursues you.
You have a mighty horse.
He's so mighty, yes. He loves company.
It has been some time since I've seen these elven breeds. Very well.
I raised them myself.
Let us be swift, because I fear, perhaps unnecessarily, but let us not take the chance that the king will see me coming, even if I do not summon my craft.
So do we want to wait till nightfall, or do we want to attempt to...
That is up to you. You're going in, you decide.
I would go day or night, but I need to account for Glavier's athleticism and Cameron's inexperience. Prefer nightfall if possible.
This is my first infiltration of an ancient city guarded by unknown assailants.
Yes, I am assuming that, Cameron. You're what again, 40? I mean, you've...
Getting up there.
Honestly, like, getting up...
Right. Whenever you decide to go, come find me in yonder clearing that we passed on the way.
Yes.
I will have drawn in the dirt a map as best as I can for you.
In our bargain for this quest of yours, you agreed to aid us in any way that would help us in this endeavor, correct?
To find the true crown, I suppose.
Rathwin, draw your map now. I will remember it.
Here?
Yes.
I mean, I do need to make some preparations anyway, so this clearing sounds as good as any.
My question was, is there a place that we could garb ourselves in a manner similar to the people who live in this city to make it easier for us passes them as we move, in case we are spotted?
Your suggestion is reckless, but it could work. The recklessness comes in that there's no one is going to be fooled by you and your elven and dwarven friend walking in claiming to be loyal subjects of the king. That is not going to fly. However, if I were to put the mark of fealty upon all of your brows, that might buy you some precious moments upon discovery, and perhaps even if you are somehow capable in that regard, perhaps you could fool someone in the city. Now, not all in the city are alive to be fooled, but some are, and that might work in your favor. However, if I put the mark of fealty upon your brows, it will have to be the authentic one for it to be enough to fool them in the city.
I think at this point, Tyrael certainly will probably notice that Glave's looking like fairly uncomfortable, and you know how Glave feels about deceit.
My face is a cold mask at the suggestion.
The mark of fealty will expose you to a manner of different dooms, which might not cross your path at all. But if they do, I fear it might be over for you.
Cameron, I think your suggestion was a wise one. However, I would rather rely upon our own skills than the chance of potentially confusing someone for a moment. Especially as Rathwin said, this could expose us to dark powers. I know you don't fear dark powers, and I don't fear dark powers, and certainly Glavia doesn't fear dark powers. But why take the risk?
I was thinking more in terms of like a uniform, but Mark.
I don't believe there's hiding all of this.
The Rathwin smiles sort of bitterly and says that the king cares not for what he wear, only that you swear fealty, which he does not need to ask you to do.
Well, let us see the map. Let us wait until dusk, say, and then we will try and make our way in.
So Rathwin sets about, takes a branch, starts drawing the map in the dirt. It's a city, which I have a map here, but it's not exact. But maybe I'll toss it up and
just toss it out, because then that's a little easier for us. It's we just need a representation. That's fine.
Yeah,
and I will commit all the details of this to my iron-like mind.
It is a iron
people.
trap.
I'm not going to give you guff about your map drawing skills. Mine are not any better.
No, you might be pleasantly surprised about what it looks like, but it's not exactly as I imagine it. But it's sort of like, let's take this as a rough guideline.
It's guidelines.
Yeah. So
there are things that Tyrael wants to do while that's happening, prep and everything like that.
Yeah.
I have things I need to do.
So I'll toss that up. All players. Yeah. No, actually, yeah. I should just be able to click on the show. Yeah, there we go. So should show up. So click on it. It might take a bit to load because it's fairly large in distance wise. So everything's not placed exactly as it would be, but if you get the map open, you're at the southern end. The wide thing going down south is the river, going from the lake, which is in the northwest corner. And that's the river. And the road that you're coming across from the south is the ancient Great Northern Road. And that's sort of the summer gate is at the southern tip of the city. There's an outer wall which is not currently present on the city map there, which is sort of like the lesser first layer of defense,
Where's
which
this map
has
supposed to be?
It should have popped up for you in Roll20.
Oh, in Roll20. I'm sorry, I was looking at it in the chat over here.
No.
Let me go over to Roll20. Yes.
And we're trying to get to the Silver Steps.
Yes. And it's like broad districts with the names.
Where are we positioned?
You're in the south. There's the thin line.
And there'd be trees, basically.
Road,
where
yeah.
we are.
So you
Where's
would be
the
like
residential district that we're supposed to avoid?
Summergate.
Us,
Summergate is the sort of residential expanse combined with West Town. So
we
that's sort
have to essentially go past the danger zone to get to where we want to go.
Yeah,
Just trying to
supposedly
see where we are.
Rathwin's saying basically that Summergate and West Town are the places
that's
where
better.
the king has gathered the sort of current armies, so to speak, like stationed them there.
So it strikes me we'd probably be best following the river north, trying to cross one of the bridges to the Silver Steps whilst giving the fortress a wide berth.
Yeah, it seems like we want to either go from the way I'm looking at the map. We're south, basically, right?
Yes. The thin line is
we want
the
to
road
wrap around west to West Town and go through that way, or go wrap around and go east and go through the thicket / into the Silver Steps. Going through the thicket into the Silver Steps is probably the most direct way. Like going through West Town seems like we'd have to go through some farmland, it looks like on here. We could probably do some sneaking through that. That probably gives us more cover than going through this other side. However, it seems to me that looking from this map, obviously presuming that we're discussing this as she's drawing it, if we could probably hug the river, as kind of John was saying, Glabry was saying, go through like Forlorn Rock and the thicket itself, use the buildings themselves as cover, and then sneak in right into the Silver Steps. That'd be the most expeditious way of doing it.
The river's flowing set to the south. Passes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The lake is like the river runs from the northwest, but they have a dam which has created the massive lake here. But the river continues from said lake.
So I'm thinking if we're sort of like on the side of the river where the Summergate is, and we're in the south, as we were saying, I think we follow the river north.
Yeah, I think we're on the opposite side of the river. We haven't crossed the river at all, I don't think. So we're actually probably in the best position to do what we were saying, which is go along.
I'm gonna consult the wheelmaster for a roll here and see if
I got some rolls to do as well.
If he grants me knowledge. I'm not sure exactly what it would be.
What are you trying to do?
History. I'm trying to figure out if this place would have had a sewer system that we could potentially navigate.
You think Rathwin would have mentioned something like that?
So you can.
We're not trusting her, are we?
What are we? Yeah, I don't think you have the skill for it. It's going to be. You can determine what exactly it is, but I'm going to throw out some suggestions. So you could say Dol Siriath wise. Sort of city-wise, sewer-wise.
I was going like Old Kingdom kind of wise, kind of thing, like stuff.
Yeah, that would be a very high obstacle, right? Because the Old Kingdom is not the sewers of Siriath. That is very specific knowledge about the Old Kingdom. But if we talk about sewers, it's an easier thing to establish because we're talking about sewers, not the Old Kingdom.
I will go with probably Dol Siriath wise, like
Dol Siriath wise,
or architecture wise could be. Right?
Am I able to gain a slight bonus from my mark of privilege because of my?
No, your mark of privilege sets you out in a crowd. Yep. Now, if you had anything else to do with the Old Kingdom here, now you could get like you would be able to say, I'm going to fork in my obscure history because that's kind of relevant to Dol Siriath because that's kind of obscure these days. But you don't have Dol Siriath wise, which is why you can't fork anything into it.
Right.
It's brand new.
Yeah, you have to roll straight perception.
Okay, I'll go with it. I'll try. So this is a new skill. New skill.
So put it in the learning thing.
Okay.
Dol Siriath wise.
I seem to be getting a lot of new skills.
Yeah, it's very, very common in Burning Wheel.
Is it perception this or will?
Yeah, perception. Yep.
Perception, right? Okay.
And
Well-
then once you've got all that set up, it should give you the aptitude number.
Yep.
Yep, cool. So now you're good to go. Press the die button, and
Okay.
your obstacle, I guess, you have sanitation works, so it's not like an obscure technology. I'm gonna say obstacle 2.
That's doubles.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, the sheet will double it to 4, but
Yeah.
c'est la vie.
C'est la vie.
Obs.
There we go.
Oh!
So
Oh!
what you're saying is, though, like we kind of went through it very quickly because I assumed what your intent was, and that's bad form on my part, but I assumed that your statement is like, oh, I want to know about these old sewer works.
Mm-hmm.
Like
My
that's your
theory
intent.
is that like our modern day kingdom, obviously, it's an echo of the old kingdom. So
Yes.
some of the architecture will have been influenced by
Mhm.
the.
Yeah.
So the sewer system might be something based on, or we interpreted from what we knew of the old
Yeah.
cities.
Yeah. Okay, so you're able to point out as we draw the map there. You can point out like, oh, they would have like the sewer system here, or like there's like an outlet here, and there's a reservoir underground here, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you know where the sewers are in Dol Siriath.
So
you
I'll
know
kind of cross-reference with Wraithwind and be like, okay, so which parts of the city from your experience you can remember are the most intact?
the silver steps. The silver steps.
Right. Okay.
That's where the most attention has been spared over the centuries.
Okay.
The residential districts are run down to a large degree.
So if nothing, we've got the option of trying the sewers to get in, but chances are, if we get spotted, we could also use them to kind of lose them.
Yeah, you could escape or infiltrate. Yeah.
So what you're saying, Cameron, if I'm correct, is a daring raid through dimly lit stone tunnels. Ha ha! Now we're talking.
I do believe this would be more Glavier's area of expertise. Yes.
They're not. Their condition may be unknown until we get in there, but
Yeah, but that's something that as you talk about, like we don't know what's in there, and Rathwen just shrugs. No
But-
idea what's in there.
they're
However,
less
it
likely
would
to be
provide far
controlled.
more cover, and
they're
it'd be
less
less.
likely to be
Well,
controlled.
I would grant that the king has something down there waiting for us. However, probably not battalions worth of his soldiers that we have to sneak by. So, I very astute of you to point out, Cameron, that there are sewers.
Good job.
But even
I
if
didn't
there is
think
something down
humans
there,
had such technology to even consider. So,
even if there's something down there, though, less likely they'll be able to call for reinforcements.
yes, no, I completely agree with you. I believe that if we still need to be able to have a route, though, that will take us nearer to the steps. But
Well, if I know anything about stoneworks and sewers, and I do know about stoneworks,
yes,
there'll probably be at least one main thoroughfare that runs
Exactly.
either parallel or alongside the river. And if
Oh,
that's the route,
course,
that's the
yes.
route we were going to take anyway. Whereas
Of course,
let us
yeah.
take the route underground, as Cameron so
And then we
rightly
can
said.
find some grading within the city or some tunnel that will open up because obviously they need sanitation works in their
Exactly.
city. Yes,
Then we don't need to piss about with weird occult markings and stuff like that.
fair enough. Yes. Well, we weren't going to do that anyway, Bob.
Yeah.
But this makes our approach that much more safe. No,
indeed.
yes,
Potentially.
very, very
We
good.
don't know.
Good idea, Cameron. Good idea.
Yes, very good, Cameron. I knew there was a reason we
I
kept
told
going
you the
out.
cities of my ancestors, great architecture.
Well, I wouldn't go.
I will leave that
I wouldn't
to
go
you
that
to
far.
argue about.
I wouldn't go that far. It's all right, I
Now-
suppose.
Now that we know our route, however, I would like to take some time to prepare myself for our, let's call it excursion.
I do have a third option, but it's
Oh.
more time consuming.
I do believe time is a factor. Yeah.
I could consult the spirits. I could try and find the spirit of the city that knew its steps, its houses, its walkways to guide us. However, that takes time.
How much
There's
time?
also,
It could take a couple of hours.
well, we have that time. We're going to wait till
At
sundown
least.
anyway. However, we should be cautious about employing your sorcery, if only because we do not know if this king can see it as the
And
same as.
Like any
Rathwins.
creature, it will strike a bargain. It will not do it for free, and there'll be a cost.
I feel like perhaps we should keep that in our pockets, as they say. For now.
Yeah, so I think try the sewers first, and then if
Yeah.
later on we have that as an option if we need
If
to.
worse comes to worse, yes.
As I understand it, Wheelmaster, I have to draw a circle, and depending how long I take...
You don't have to because you're gifted. You could spend a couple of
Yeah,
minutes
you have
doing
that power, yeah.
doing it without the circles.
Well,
However,
what's
the circles do
spirit-
help you.
Won't the spirit be able to do whatever it wants when I do that?
No, it's the same deal, but the circles help you
Right, okay.
do the thing.
Okay.
Either like they give you more, like you know what the different varieties are. Like there's the Summoner's Gate, which helps you do the summoning. There's
That's
the
why I
Prison
thought I had
Circle,
to do the Summoner's Gate at the base level.
Yeah, which that helps you summon the thing. You could have the sort of Fortress Circle, which protects you from the thing, or you could draw the Prison Circle, which traps.
Or
the
you could
thing.
raw dog it and see what you get.
Yeah, or you just do like, attend me, and then it does, and then you do it live.
Well, I'm sure we all have important.
They're alive.
I'm sure we all have important preparations to make. Let's do it then. I'll say as I'm like unscrewing my head flask and like.
Yeah, my preparation is 2 hours of knocking it back. Right. So Rathwen says, before we settle into this, where should I draw the Eye of the King?
So on the road, just beyond the tree line, facing the summer gate, and we're going to make our way east and through the sewer system.
I will literally rattle the gate then.
Exactly. And then Cyrdahl will take you as swift as the wind itself to safety.
So she describes to you the amulet that she wants, which is she describes it as it's going to be on a statue, like around the neck of a statue in the reliquary, and you'll know which statue this is, and it's sort of unassuming silver necklace with a silver chain with sort of silver pearls dotting the chain as like decoration, and there's like a teardrop shaped thing of polished obsidian as the sort of
amulet.
necklace itself, the amulet, and that's the thing she wants, and that's basically her entire deal why she's here.
Yeah,
it is
that's fine.
very important that we get this thing from the reliquary,
And that's what we agreed to. So that's her payment for giving
Anything
us
else
the
is
help
free
we want.
game. That's what I'm hearing.
That's exactly.
which she hasn't said, like, don't fuck around.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah, if she has not warned us not to loot the place, then I'm going to be looking around for some fat loot.
And that is maybe an error on her part, but
actually, I will ask as she's describing it. Now, Rathwen, I have some thoughts about what we're going to do once we get there. Of course, our main objective is to acquire your object and go. However, you said reliquary. That generally means more than one relic.
Yes.
Is it safe to assume that everything other than your necklace is fair game, or?
Well, fair game means that you're rooting around in the ruins of past glory. There belongs to you.
Splendid. Glad we've cleared that up.
Well, Will, it's called the spoils of war for a reason, Rathwen.
Again, I stress, you should not think of yourself as being at war with the king.
I understand.
And more as rats fleeing a ship.
Even rats go for the cheese when the ship is sinking. So
this person you keep talking about, even a man or a woman or a person?
The power of the crown seems to have amplified their status somewhat.
I suppose that is a good question these days.
Well, then we shall try to do as little as possible to draw attention to ourselves, but it sounds like if we find something that's choice within this reliquary, that we should help ourselves.
I am quite aware that I am sending you to a place where there are a lot of dangerous things both on the way and at the destination. And you will probably be interested in something that will further your efforts shall we say,
That is the idea.
Against the king, or on this effort to get the true crown. I'm quite aware of this. However, it would be a tragedy to, if you do not care about your own safety, it would be a tragedy should the amulet not be taken out of Dol Siriath and fall into the hands of the king again.
Again.
Well,
it is currently in,
yes,
more or less in the hands of the king.
Well then,
and
I think we understand ourselves then.
That will spell doom that I will inflict on other people. So if you do not care for your own safety, I would implore you, please take into account the lives that I will take should you not fetch this amulet here because you saw the glitter of gold and decided to spend some more time.
We understand. We have an objective. We will hold to our word. Correct, Glavia?
Of course.
Yes, Cameron. Of course, Cameron agrees. Good timing on his part.
Like, where's Cameron? Already running to the...
Anyway, enough talk. Make what preparations you need, and then let's be about it.
Right. So
in that sense, I do have a couple of rules.
Let's slam through.
All right. I'm just going to slam through some rolls then while we're... I'm just going to double check my... Oh my god, too many tabs. There we go. Oh, I feel like I want... It's going to be risky. I feel like I want it.
That's kind of the whole game. It's risky, but I want it.
I don't really can't really. Remind me with Sorcerer spell song type things. Forking.
Because
obviously, if I had the Song of Songs, I could fork that in probably, but I don't.
That's the thing. So
I think it's the only one that can really fork. Or if I had another elf with me, that could help, but that's obviously
okay,
that makes sense.
So I have the thing here. So no forks are possible. Helping dice may only come from another elf with the same song or the Song of Songs.
Got it. Right. That makes sense. Screw it. I forget her. My stealth actually. Now you know what? I'm not gonna risk it on that one. Oh, I'm glad I didn't do that actually. Very nice. Okay, that's the first one done. So obviously I get +1 on my stealth now for the foreseeable future. Song of Sword. How badly is this gonna be for me? Which one do I want to pick actually? I kind of want the Singing Blade. I think that's going to be really powerful for me right now if I have to use my sword. Right. Okay. So it's going to be obstacle 2. Oh, that was routine on this one, which is good because I have those done now. Let's see here. It's actually really hard to get the spell song boosted up because it's hard to get like the challenging the difficulties on those ones because you can't really fork or help. So it's like you don't have any. You literally have very little padding other than using Ratha to get more dice.
Especially with if we're talking about like Song with the Sword.
Any of my actual songs, not the spell skills, but the spell songs. They're because they can't really, you can't boost them really unless you have another elf with you, and we don't. So
and I guess what you're saying is, if I understood correctly, it's hard to get the sort of challenging stuff and succeed in it.
Yeah, that's right. You're right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it like you can.
I suppose you get it automatically by trying anyway, don't you? I'm sorry, I'm misinterpreting. I'm forgetting. That's my bad.
And there are a couple.
Yeah,
things
it's impossible to get successes with it even if you don't have the skills. Yeah.
But there's a couple things that you need to succeed with in order to advance it. but you don't have any of that. That's some. Well, you do have resources, which is one of those, but the other thing that comes to mind is human faith, but we don't traffic in that.
No, we don't. We're not humans. Well, I'm not at least. Right, hold on. Let me roll this. This is going to be a tough one. I kind of want it, so I'm going to roll with an Aratha. That's a 2. Oh, I'm so glad I did that. Oh, fuck yes. Okay, cool. That was worth the Aratha on that one. Because now my sword's going to be fucking boss.
So which one was this?
That was for my Song of the Sword. So I'm getting the open-ended dice exploder thing. So I'm just going to, for the sake of me not, so in case I don't remember it, I'm going to mark it now. I'll mark it at the end of the session, or when it's no longer applicable. Cool.
So you have Singing Blade now.
Yeah, I have Singing Blade up, and I have a one die bonus to my stealth from my Thrine of the Chameleon. And I think probably all we have time for really perp-wise before dark, I'd imagine. But yeah, I can guide us as we need to if we need to be stealthy and shit like that. I will say this though, it's because it's my instinct now to do so. I'm always assessing for the trouble, so if it comes up when we need to scout or whatever, it is my instinct to do so. So I would have done it if it didn't come up already. So I believe that's how the instincts work. So
yeah. So yeah, if it's basically if I say something that would sort of touch on you having scouted, you just put your hand up. Oh, I scouted.
Yeah.
If it's applicable, we'll deal with that. So, well, the thing here is you have a good way in because of Cameron's.
That's right. His knowledge has already sort of done half the job for us.
So I think we can probably get into the sewers, and then see how we do in the sewers.
I'm cool.
So we're doing this at dusk, I guess.
Yes, I'd be waiting for dusk. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So
these guys are slowpoke compared to me. I gotta have the nightfall to help me out, get them through.
So when you leave, Rathwin's gonna set up her distraction.
It's actually working out quite well that she's kind of goosed on her powers right now. She's like gonna be a bonfire.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna roll for conspicuous for her, but she doesn't really need to because she'll just use one of her magics. So yeah, you will see as you head into one of the sort of outer entrances, like you cross the wall from one of the breaches in it, and you head towards one of these sewer grates, which Cameron has figured out where they are. And as you head in, you see the night sky goes from dusk to just complete darkness. There's no starlight, no moonlight of any kind, and you can hear fell voices on the air as Rathawen chants her magics to the sky, and you can hear in the distance the rumbling roll of thunder, and presumably Rathawen is doing her level best trying to draw. If there's eyes to draw, she's doing that.
I mean, I would notice her at the stage if it were me.
I believe that's our signal.
Yes, let's proceed.
Distant.
Okay, so as we go into the sewers, I'm assuming it's almost completely dark in there once we get
Yeah, it is. It's just pitch black.
So yeah,
none of you can see in there.
I'm going
to strike some torches then. Maybe
I was going to say I was thinking light one of those lanterns with like the cover.
That's right.
But just keep it like turned down low because we only need a little bit of light.
Yeah, we just need some light. Yeah.
I could use my sorcery here to improve the.
To make a very bright light.
That's a good idea. However, it may give us away.
Yeah. It may draw eyes.
I said we'll keep this lantern with the cover mostly turned over for now. Then if we get into a situation where you, Cameron, are going to need extra light, I can always throw open the cover.
Lavia, can you take point, please? Not just because of your stone skills, but of course because you are the heavily armored one amongst us.
Of course, and I'll move up ahead. as we move, I'm going to be like occasionally just using like the lower level of my like stone abilities to basically just be like, oh, what state's this in? Are there any like deadfalls or anything up ahead, and like paying attention.
And I'm of course
to the
assessing
stone.
and looking for dangers and everything like that.
Okay, well let's actually use that. I was gonna say like let's do a speed roll to see if you can make it through like without someone figuring out that there's something going on. Or something figuring out, but let's do the reason of all stone, because you're using that to guide you here, not your speed. So let's throw that, but let's figure out what the appropriate thing would be. Let me pull up the.
It's on page 290.
Yeah.
I have a rhyme with a Pathfinder if that helps him at all with maneuvering through all this mess.
It would, I guess.
Or my observation skill, which is very high.
Is that the orienteering one?
Yeah, orienteering one is my
So
rhyme.
I think the orienteering one would be of help here.
Cool.
So
I'm
assuming we're looking at something like obstacle 3, recent events surrounding the stone.
Stone critical evidence.
Because we're trying to keep an eye on like what state the stone's in and whatever.
Yeah.
We're not really trying to find out anything secret.
Yeah. Let's call it 3. You get 1 extra from Tyrell.
Okay, I'm also going to bust a persona into it as well.
Yeah. So this is your intent is to do what exactly? Let's establish this before we go.
My intent is to examine the stone to determine a safe path for us.
Yeah. To where? Do you want to go all the way?
Yeah.
Or
all the way to the silver steps.
All the way to the silver steps. You want to pop out from
we want to be able
in the silver steps. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So that's going to be we're gonna do 4 in that case, because you're going to go through the whole city with that roll.
Yeah.
So let's
do. I'm busting that persona on it.
Yep. Yeah. Let's do obstacle 4, and if you do this, you'll have a grate that you can come out from in the silver steps, and if you don't, then you'll have been accosted. Like the road that you took actually sort of discontinued with the sewers, and you find yourselves at the riverbank in the middle of the city because the sewers stopped. But you aced it, and there's 1/6 there as well. And you can get. Let's count this out. So you had. I wonder if it does the math correctly now.
Well, that's 2 persona I've pumped into Reason of Old Stone so far.
Yeah. So, I think there's some interesting things we can talk about going forward as we vote for the traits and stuff, because you're literally talking magically to stones.
Yeah.
And that's fairly specific as far as interests go. But yeah, that's a difficult one for you.
Yep.
And you get your intent as is the case. So yeah, you lead you successfully you spoke with the wet, cold stones of the ancient sewers here, and they told you the way to go, which is where the basically they told you where the fresh air isn't.
Yep.
And thus you avoided the place that would have led you to basically the promenade in the middle of the city, because that's where the sewer came out, and you're just like, well, shit, we're out of the sewers now. But you dodge that. You continue on. You go under the river, and there's like a deep reservoir down there, which you don't even want to think about what might live in there, if anything, in the deep dank under the river itself. And you get across. You cross the promenade, the river, and you get up to all the way. And the sewers climb up as well, and you can feel yourselves climbing up because the silver steps is situated higher up in the terrain. And you come up from the ground. You come up from the ground in the silver steps. Now let me pull up my notes here. So the silver steps. It's a district of the Old High Kingdom nobility, as you were told. And there's a lot of immediately apparent that there's a lot of not only important nobles living here or where, but there's also like the sort of important institutions of society probably had their like big houses here, big towers, as the case probably is. So the terrain rises up and it's riddled with stairways built into the roads and alleyways, which leads to the name Silver Steps. And the buildings are grandiose, and most of them feature at least some kind of elevated tower-like element, as is the case often with the Old Kingdom. The couple of landmarks that you can tell, which sort of Rathawen sort of lightly marked on the map here, because it's only important in triangulating where the reliquary is, but you can tell there's the Tower of the Stars. That's the Foxfire Fane. There's the nightly barracks of this house or the other one. And that means that behind all this are some of the Sorcerer towers, and there's a big square there. And that's where the reliquary is, at this square in this particular part of the Silver Steps. So you sort of know where to go.
Okay. As we're sort of getting like to the exit from the sewers, I'm going to say, okay, Tyrell, I've got us here. I suggest you scout out the way ahead, since you're far more inconspicuous than me. Try and find us a safe path through, and then once you come back and give us the go-ahead, myself and Cameron can hustle along after you.
And that is exactly what I will do.
Right.
I would like to do this stealthily.
Yeah, please do.
Fork in my observation potentially. To sort of
your observation doesn't.
Can it fork with stealth? I imagine it would.
Like observation is sort of specific in that it's looking for hidden things or things that are not sort of on the surface level. So what that would then be is like every guardsman is going to use observation to spot
it's the opposite of what I'm doing. Yeah.
So you're sort of, I get what
okay,
you're thinking.
So
you're thinking like, stealth, I know where to go. So
the
that
stealth is going to just be the means to get the information. I see how we're proceeding it. Perfect. And that is what I shall do.
Yeah. So what do you want to do? What is your intent? What do you want to achieve?
So the goal is that I want a path that can be safely navigated.
Yes.
To the reliquary without being seen.
Wonderful.
Heard,
let's
or
go.
Sighted or whatever.
Yeah. Let's run with this. Yeah.
So my stealth is pretty high right now, so it's gonna be good. So I get one for my thing from earlier.
And
what's the oh no, you're good. It's an opposed.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll.
I'll do a 1.
And if you fail, well, you're gonna get spotted. Obviously. There's gonna be.
So I rolled a 4 with 1 6 in case I need it.
Yeah. Let's see if you need it. So it's going to be
your observation against myself, basically.
Yeah. I'm just thinking there's going to be like proper guardsmen, and they're going to fork in one thing. So they're going to roll that much. Well, the skill is let's do it properly. And then they're going to fork in 1, and they don't have any of that. And then this. No. So that's an obstacle 2 against your.
Well, I rolled 5 dice total, so
don't forget he's an elf, so he's just better as well.
It's going to be a routine one for your.
I was going to say it's routine, which is good because I needed 2 more of those still.
Yeah. So whoever's watching doesn't spot you as you go, so you now know. Well, what you do is you take one of these sort of stepped alleyways, and you trace that. And you trace it into another one, and you continue doing that until you know that you can go to this reliquary entrance. And you know that there's only one entrance to the reliquary.
Is it guarded?
Not on the outside that you can tell.
That's perfect. I don't care about the outside.
I imagine as Tyrell sort of giving us like the thumbs up and we're going across, what we'll do
I'd come back and be like, come on over. And
what we'll do is we'll have Tyrell go first, then Cameron, because obviously I'm the slowest one. So if anyone's going to get spotted, it's going to be me. So let's send those 2 over. Once we're sure was Cameron, and forgive me if I'm making assumptions here, Cameron, I'm assuming you're like the least sort of combatty of us. Well, I know you've got mojo, don't get me wrong.
He's an academic sorcerer.
But that's the vibe I'm getting. So I'm thinking, get Tyrell across. So we've got like one combat guy who knows the way and has come across first. Then Cameron goes across. Then we've got me.
You should be safe though. The path I cleaved should be safe.
Oh yeah. So. Well, we've got Tyrell sort of like covering the front, me covering the back, send Cameron across, then I'll follow up sort of behind, and we'll sort of keep doing that as we sort of like take the path that Tyrell's located?
Oh, before we enter the Well Quarry at this stage, I will distribute the wax at this stage.
That's a sentence that I love. I will distribute the wax.
Is this an elf thing? I don't.
No. This is to prevent us from becoming encircled thralls of the Flame King, or whatever he calls himself.
He's not here.
We don't know that, do we? He could be waiting for us inside. This whole thing could be one elaborate trap.
You've gone quite far up in the Silver Steps, and you know the fortress is quite close by.
Okay, so as we're like getting ready to whap this wax in our ear, as someone who's served in many a military campaign, and obviously I know Tyrell has as well, although things will be different, elf, dwarf, etc.
Our tactics.
I basically, like the sort of military hand signals.
Yeah.
I'm basically going to very quickly go through some basic ones of them, because I'm assuming Cameron doesn't have a military background. But I'll be right, these symbols mean this. So when we're waxed up and we can't really hear each other, we can still sort of convey basic concepts.
I will obviously wax up.
Yeah, our hand signs are very.
I will take a little bit of the wax and also just to be thorough, just familiar as well in case it can be influenced.
That's a good shout. Yeah.
Yes.
We don't want to lose your familiar on this run.
I know. I imagine. I don't like it either. I apologize. This will be for a short amount of time. I hope.
It looks extremely displeased with this.
Yeah.
You're gonna need to give it some fresh killer or something like that later on. But right. So I'm gonna make the sign for ready, and then I'm gonna begin to proceed to the door.
And you've established a safe route. There's no.
So we're there. I mean,
check for that. You can get to the reliquary entrance with no trouble, and you skulk through the narrow alleyways.
At this stage, as we're sort of getting through the alleyways, I've had my bow up until we're about to enter the reliquary, but I will switch for the sword at that stage because I don't. I'm not intent on shooting inside a building with close quarters. It's gonna be that'd be a little bit challenging.
As we move, I'm turning my fat loot sensors to maximum.
So you prise open these they're heavy oak doors,
quietly as we can,
reinforced with metal, reinforcements. you push them open. It takes some doing. It's very dark inside. There's some light now coming in, of course, but it's going to cut off at some point.
Basically, I'm thinking what we should probably do is get Glover and Cameron to open the doors. Then we can have Tyrell with his bow in case anything leaps out. He can.
Yeah, I have my sword at this stage. Yeah, I'll be at the ready.
That's what these arms are known for, opening forbidden doors. Let's do it.
So you open the doors. Immediately you can see there's several sets of highly decorated armor, like on it looks like sort of honor guard of knights, basically on either side of the entrance, really, and the marble floor, quite intricate. There's some decorative patterns on it, laden with Old Kingdom symbology here, royal symbology in particular. And there's no light inside other than what you bring in or what little comes through the door right now, because it's very dark outside as well. So it doesn't really help that much. The thunder is still going and it's getting closer now.
I'm going to tap on Cameron's shoulder and I'm going to make a sort of like a flashing sign with my hand to kind of try to convey light.
Yeah.
To him.
You would have established something like that.
Yeah, because obviously he said earlier he could do.
I'm gonna mouth the word. You sure?
Yes. We need to be able to see.
Is he busy? Let's get wizzy. Okay.
I hope Cameron actually said that.
I don't mind telling you, I'm taking you less seriously as a sorcerer.
Yeah. So what you hear is nothing. Because you have wax in your ears.
Which is the intention.
So the thing that I was given from Varvia, I'm gonna obviously incant, say the words around it and light it up. I actually can control the light, so it doesn't have to be massively bright.
That's perfect. Perfect.
4 types dim. I'm gonna go a lantern light.
That's perfect. We just need enough light so our eyes can see.
Yeah, go ahead and you have the button right there.
Have
with
the
mage
button.
light.
I'm not sure what's the
You have the
difficulty
power.
going to be.
The difficulty is built into it. It should take it into account. The difficulty is up there at the middle of the gray bar.
Or before.
Yeah. So you'll need to succeed on all of your dice.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, making this really easy.
That wasn't it.
That wasn't
No
gonna do it.
sixes.
That wasn't it. So let me pull up the rules
I feel
here.
like this magic shit is not as like his magic shit is not as easy as my magic shit.
And that was how we ended up running from a fire elemental in the Silver
We thought we were just gonna steal from the place. Instead, we burnt it to the ground.
Yeah.
Oops.
Well,
You
it
just
was
hand
just
me a cursed scepter. Oh god! Ah!
yeah.
How would I know?
How would either of us know? It's not our bag.
Let's see.
I was just like, that's well carved. Yoink.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh, here we go. Okay, so give us a fort roll. Let me.
Fort roll. Oh boy.
Yeah, so, the obstacle is 4. This is for you to withstand the power arcane. That's a negatory. You would have had one more dice because you would have cleared that one tax.
Okay.
So just roll a d6 and no.
Oh,
Nailed.
I'm
You're having a good run. I
Not a
see.
really good day.
Okay, so you're going to let's see.
you know, like I love this. This is typical of how games go when I'm involved.
That
We
is
get,
true.
you know, we do the thing. We get right to the objective. Everything's going great. I
Mhm.
step in to do a simple, easy, mundane task, and it all goes to shit.
Yeah.
Forward.
So what happens now is your fort is taxed by 3 because you failed it that by 3.
How do I put the tax in?
I put it in there. So
Okay.
under fort you have sickness/fatigue. I put the 3 in there. So yeah, it you summon the power and it rips through your body and it takes the vitality as it does, but it produces some unpredictable effects. Give me a d6 roll, Matthew. This is the spicy one.
Mhm.
Oh, but
Ooh,
you're good at the spicy ones.
nice.
Okay,
Like
that's okay.
It's kind of wobbly on the way there, but when it counts, you
That's
Pull
the
up
one
your
I
ass
really needed to
together.
pass.
yeah you pull off the harmless dissipation.
There you
So
go.
what I will say is the light refuses to become, because Rathawin has summoned such darkness and
Yeah.
storm that the light just is snuffed out. Like you can see it flicker,
Yeah.
and it just it actually like snuffs itself out in the sort of sequence of like, and it goes out with the.
I sort of
distant
sag in
storm
onto
blast.
Tyrell, like you, like over.
I do one of these moves and then I'm like,
I
and
just
will
I
then
just sort of like
proceed.
I'll just pat him on the shoulder in what I hope's like a sort of reconciliatory manner.
Uh,
Then I'm just gonna like pass him the lantern I was carrying earlier and be like,
Every time he taps me, I get like a flash of bright light in my eyes. Like,
Mhm.
ugh.
I'm just holding out the lantern to you, like magic's failed, like lantern in it.
All right, well, at this point, I'm proceeding down. Is it down a stairwell? You said. Or it's
There's
into a
no
hallway?
stairs. You can't see that far anyway
Okay.
inside there, but it's a hallway, like an entranceway, like flanked by these armor stands. And yeah, with the lantern light, you can see now, all of you.
Perfect.
I'm
As you
assuming
head in.
Cameron looks like noticeably fatigued after that.
Oh yeah,
sort of
he looks like he just
hugging the walls a bit.
like you know how a person looks when they've ingested something that was much spicier than they anticipated, and
Oh,
it's starting
no.
to kick in. So
Nice.
Cameron's kind of like, oh boy, I'm feeling it now.
Right. So, understandably, Tyrell's got to go up ahead. I'm going to be sort of like at Cameron's side to like help support him as we're sort of like going down, so he can basically like lean on my shoulder. Because I can't really like put a hand around him because I've got like my shield and my axe. But
I want you to note this: every time I've used my sorcery so far, I have absolutely flubbed it.
Yep. Yep.
This is a great pattern. Also,
yeah,
I
but
get
you're
XP for
accumulating
this.
them dots, mate.
I get what dot do I get for that absolute flubber?
You get a difficult roll, difficult dot for that,
Okay, cool. Ooh,
and
just
you
the
get
one.
a difficult dot for fort as well.
Oh, fun.
Like it's not for nothing. Like you're getting better, but you're in the gym now, the wizard gym.
So think about it, man. You're failing all these rolls now, but somewhat further down the line, you just go, it is time.
Yeah, I'm gonna have jacked stats, but I'm still gonna keep failing, John.
I give Glaive gives you like the gesture to like lean on my shoulder if you need to, and then I'm gonna like.
I will lean on you when I'm not strong.
That's it. I'll be your friend. I'll let you carry on, and I'm gonna sort of like match my movements to you. So like, but I'll be there, sort of like with my shield and axe, like in case anything leaps out, because I can see you're in a bit of a bad way.
I'm thinking that maybe something really bad happened to this city for my magic to fail so spectacularly, even though it's probably Wraithwind.
Yeah, and something is currently happening that is probably not the greatest. Like Rathawin is conjuring up some rather real stuff up there at the gate.
We didn't want her to be distracting, so.
Yeah. So, you head into the reliquary. Now, I want to know what happens to the door. What do you do about the door? You obviously open it when you go in. Do you close it? Do you?
I think we should probably shut it, because if anyone sees it open, they might be suspicious. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to find like a stone or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to shut it so it's not all the way shut. Put like a little stone in to like wedge it,
Mm-hmm.
but so that like it's only like very narrowly open. So if you walk past, you'll be like, "Oh my god, the door's wide open."
Mm-hmm.
But so that if we need to get out quickly, we haven't got to go the whole hog of like heaving it all open here.
Yeah.
Right. So you head in. Cameron, you're carrying the lantern, I presume, and you head in. So there's these armor sets, and you come on this. It's kind of like a foyer type situation. There's no like upper story to go to, but it's like a central piece. There's various artifacts and sort of plinths and whatnot that you can easily pick up from, like, oh, this is the old kingdom. You know, some of their historical stuff is laid out here. Like that's the banner of such and such from such a time period, and you can see there's a couple of specific sections. There's the sort of royal, quote unquote, wing of it, and there's the wing of the Alliance, and let's see, wing of the wing of lineage. So to recount, the royal wing, the wing of lineage, and the wing of alliance, wing of the Alliance.
Quick question. I know
Yes.
It didn't come up earlier when Wraithwind was describing the object and where it would be on. She did describe that to be on a statue around its neck. Did she happen to maybe include which wing you'd be in?
The royal wing.
The royal wing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I have two objectives here at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, three really, but two and three are tied together. I want to secure her object as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I want to, and the Wing of the Alliance sounds like exactly where I want to go next, is that I want to find anything that's elvish.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's spare bags of coin floating around here, I'll take one or two of those as we go. But yeah, those are my main objectives here.
You're going to find the vending machine and kick it real hard.
Yeah, be like, mother, give me the coins.
My objectives are pretty much the same, just replace the word elvish with dwarven.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to take from that, Cameron, do you have...
I would like to look at the royal stuff, but
I mean, we could send him just to the royal wing to get the necklace, because we would have told him what it looks like, and so how about that? So I will point in the direction of the royal wing and tap on Cameron, and then I'm going to tap on myself and I'll point to the allied wing.
Don't tap too hard.
Gentle taps. Love tap.
Unsteady.
Love tap.
I'm going to go with Cameron because he does look unsteady. Yeah. But before we go, I'm going to sort of make sure I'm facing Terrell, and then like very slowly, so he can lip read me, I'm going to be like, "Bring me anything dwarven you find."
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Got it.
Right.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm
who's going where?
Skirt off. I'm going to skirt to the allied wing, and they're going to the royal wing, I believe.
Yeah. I'm going to go royal first, then lineage if I can find anything.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm accompanying Cameron just to make sure it doesn't like collapse.
Yep. So let's deal with the royal wing first. So you go there, you start seeing there's various paintings of old royalty of Dol Siriath. There's a couple of busts. You can see various sort of plaques describing, oh, this was in the year of such and such. The king at the time decreed so and so, and there's like bits of history sprinkled here and there, like important stories sort of told in the midst of these artifacts from days gone by, and you find that there's a chronology to it, and it's the newer stuff at the front and older stuff at the back, and you head into the wing, and you discover somewhere close to the end, you see there's a person on a like a simple wooden chair in a fairly simple robe of gray. This person is, if they are alive, they are in a very bad way. That's a withered person who is sort of like, oh, like there's like an exclamation which you don't hear because you have wax in your ears, but you can see that this person is sort of like shocked into awareness of you as you approach with the lantern and whatnot, and this withered, hairless human, presumably, sort of gathers themselves up from the chair and stares at you with sort of wild eyes and mouths something at you.
Do we have any chance of working out what they're saying from their lips?
I would say, yeah, like give me a perception thing.
Okay.
Both of us, or just John?
You one of you can roll and the other one can help.
I will help you, Glavia, for my eyes are tired.
Okay. Perception. Where's that? Oh, there we go.
You better watch out, because I might use some more sorcery in a minute, and we all know how that's going to go.
I've got one help. I'm not spending any alpha on it.
Yep.
The
difficulty is just going to be 1 for this, and if you fail, it's going to be bad times. But you don't, so it's you think this person might be like, they clearly lack some of their use of their senses, and they're sort of, you can sort of partially lip read from the withered lips that you think it's maybe like a curator for this like reliquary who's like trying to ask if you are the visitors come to look at the exhibits, and you know, sort of half welcoming you, half like being alarmed at like, are you robbers?
I'm when he gets a bit, it's like, oh, are you the visitors? Yeah. I'm just gonna nod.
Yeah. So again, you don't hear anything, but the withered person just goes on to the nearest exhibit, start motioning at it, and like is talking as he goes.
Yeah, I'm basically gonna be doing that bit whenever he stops talking. I'm doing that like, looking like I'm interested, and then right, does it? I'm not really sure if I'm phrasing this right, but you said he looked like he hadn't got the use of all his senses. He's quite old. He's quite withered.
Yeah.
Based on sort of like how close he's getting to the exhibits and whatever, does it look like he's got brilliant eyesight?
No, not at all.
Because at which point, what I'll do is,
it's actually because you get close enough and you can see in this light quite well. It's milky white. Like if there's something there, it's not going to be very exact.
Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of take the lantern off Cameron. And then I'm going to, as I'm keeping this guy occupied, I'm going to give him the sign to like, go on the fucking necklace.
I will go looking for the necklace. Slouch.
So you get this like husk of a curator who's talking very intensely about this pair of like sabatons to you.
And as someone who's incredibly conspicuous, I basically want to like keep his attention focused on me. Like I'll be asking loads of like random questions about like the exhibits and whatever.
Yeah, and you can see this person has, now that you're there, it's not glowing or anything, but you can see the sort of like half burnt indentation of the what you know now is the mark of fealty on this person's forehead.
And obviously during the guided tour of the exhibits, as per my belief, I will be looking for a mighty weapon worthy of a dwarven warrior. I'm like, oh, quality! We're getting like a guided tour of like the stuff we might want to nick.
Yeah, you can see some broken spears and whatnot, and this is all human made. Like this is this is the human royal house relics. So
it is royal though, and royalty.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We'll see about that in a moment. Cameron, you head on to try and find this. Yep. So you find at the end is you find that it's not actually done in chronological order. It looked like it from the start, but it's either someone's moved stuff around or something's gone on. But in the back, you find a collection of 3 rather imposing statues, and it is very clearly, a king, the queen, and then there's a royal. And there's a plaque, so you can tell this is a royal sorcerer. This third person here, and the royal sorcerer statue looks exactly like Rathawen, and it has the necklace around the
neck. as if she is today. As if she looks now, like the resemblance is exact. Almost.
Yeah, it's exact. Like someone's done a very good job of capturing Rathawen. In, like, I suppose you would say, because you've seen Rathawen either like, oh, I'm a knight in a rusty armor, or I'm like super defeated, like shadow of who I was. This is Rathawen sort of like portrayed like full of strength.
Yeah, regal bearing.
This is top tier Rathawen, basically.
Like this is Rathawen when, like, if Rathawen still was apparently a royal sorcerer. Like this is like top tier court position. Apparently because depicted along with the king and the queen, probably very highly placed, even more so than other sorcerers, maybe because she's placed here along with the actual ruling bloodline.
Which is, just let's point out for the audience at home, which Cameron supposedly is a part of. Just saying.
Yeah, Cameron has
shouldn't come up at all.
Yeah, Cameron has a thing that says he is a part of the true ruling bloodline of the old High Kingdom. So the king and the queen in the back here, which by the way are the only statues, the rest are busts. They are some of your ancestors from some centuries ago.
Do I know who these are? Who the other two?
You can look at the plaques. Yeah, sure. Like so there's Rathawen, the royal sorcerer. Let me pull up my stuff here. Apologies. The thing is, when you make a lot of notes, when you brainstorm and prep, is that you end up with a lot of names just and notes just everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely everywhere. So it is the king. Come on. Here we go. So it is King. I'll put this in chat because I think this might be one of those where there's a chance that I might pronounce it such that you can not make out what I'm saying. So it is, as you know, or you've been told, not specifically pertaining to you because you come from a different context, but royalty tend to have a lot of names. So this king is called Aralas Feradin Blaith Kereldun, and you spot the.
And then Cameron.
Yeah, then it's Cameron Redwin. Oh shit! I put that in. I had a thing going here. Sorry. So you can tell from the plaque that this king, as you know about modern obscure history, you don't even need to roll for this. You have the exact thing you need for this. You know that this person, Aralas, was the last monarch of the old High Kingdom. He was the one.
Oh, he's the fuck up.
He was the one whose funeral procession was ambushed by someone. Like, he died of old age, And before, like he still had the crown on him because they did the whole like funeral rites, right?
Mhm.
There was a funeral procession to the royal tombs, which are not in the city, and the procession was ambushed and the crown was lost. So Arla's like he didn't lose it; he just died, like you do when you're a human. But afterwards, he's basically someone ambushed his corpse and took the crown. And so he was the last one that they had, and it's Rathawen, the royal sorcerer, and then Estrith, the queen. Estrith shares a lot of the names. So basically, it's Estrith, Feradin Blaith, Caraldun.
Yikes. Is there anything on these statues, or is it just the plaques?
No, there's just very fine statues decorated with like golden accents and all that, but they don't have jewelry on them like Rathawen's does.
I will take the pendant.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep, it comes off free. It's not attached to the statue at all.
I'll take like a lasting look at Rathawen's statue before I start to.
Mm-hmm. It looks imperiously, but not in a condescending way, just like projecting power. You feel the weight of the amulet, the silver cord, not so much, but the polished obsidian teardrop as the centerpiece of it. It feels imbued with heaviness that is quite uncharacteristic of such a small object.
Yeah.
Right. So you've discovered some of your past here.
Mission accomplished. So far, I'm only half dead from just casting a light.
From casting your mage light at the door. Right. So, Glarvir, give me either like scavenging or perception as you look for things to steal.
Okay, I'm going to go for perception then.
Yep.
And since this is so important to me, I'm going to put a persona into it.
Yeah, and the
it's greed. That's what it is.
The obstacle is going to be 1 because our curator here is going to oppose you.
Okay.
With his massive observation skills.
4 successes.
He might have Arthur as well, you never know.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. Like he might not be at the top of his game, but he's been at this for a while.
So if he gets 4, I've got 2 6s.
Yeah. Oh shit, I put the 0 on it, but yeah, it just got 1. So yeah, that's a routine for your perception.
Nice.
Which doesn't count because you're at 6. So never mind.
So glad I'll take it anyway.
Yeah. Right. So you don't so much find a weapon as you desired, but you found some golden coins stamped during the reign of Aralas Feradin Blaith Caraldun.
Nah, I'm good. I'm not fussed for coins. They can stay where they are.
Righto. Right. So, well, you are good to go with Cameron coming there with the pendant, probably
I'm just
giving
looking
you
around to see if there's any like books or any magical kind of things that catch my eye.
No. It's all about the royal house.
So I think once Cameron's given me that he's got the amulet, we'll probably make our excuses and then try and make our way to the lineage wing.
Yep, it's fine. The curator returns to the chair and just like curls up in it like a dead spider. Terrell, you were going.
I think I'm going to leave the curator like some food or like some shit because he looks like he's in a bad way.
Yeah, they'll take the whey bread that you give him. Yeah, he'll take it, clutch it in his like skeletal claws, and just like curls up like a spider.
Okay.
Chair. Terrell, you were going to the
Allied
wing of the Alliance.
Yep.
So you get there. There's some murals painted on. There's some relics, but very sparse, and you don't see a lot of stuff of elven make as such. You see some dwarven coins here, which I think it's probably something to the tune of like the first, recorded trade
Right,
with the
sure.
people of the like they have the first dwarven coins that they got here
Got
on
it.
display, and there's depictions of like meeting with the elves, meeting with the dwarves. That's all here, and it is quite fantastic indeed.
Sure.
And you're reasonably assured that some of this elven recording stuff is probably painted by elves. You can see that because there's some of the signatures that have been worked onto the art are like you think
Or in our script.
it's in elven script.
Yeah.
So it's probably some of it is elven work. Now you get to the end, like it's a wonderful. This would be
on a normal
worthy.
day, it would be a great day.
On a normal
right.
day, this would be worthy of study.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
you could bring the elven sages over here.
That's
and
right.
record
We'd
all
have a
this
good
shit.
time with it, right?
Yeah, but you get towards the end, and there's it's like the sort of piece de resistance is at the end there with some actual relics that you can start to see. There's clearly spaces where elven stuff used to be.
Right.
There's no elven relics here at all. There's plinths that have plaques on it, like the like elven bow gifted on year.
Right.
And it's not there.
And
elven quiver of elven arrows crafted by such and such Fletcher, not there. All the elven stuff has been taken. However, there's a bunch of the dwarven stuff as well, but there's one dwarven thing left here, and it is held in like a wall hanging, sort of very display type deal. And it is, let me bring up my note for this. Yeah. So it's an immaculately crafted axe, and it bears all the hallmarks of elven artifice as you know it.
Dwarven. This is dwarven.
Dwarven, sorry, dwarven.
Right.
It's decorated with the sort of angular knotwork that the dwarves do enjoy, and that has been sort of inlaid into the steel of the axe in gold and silver. Again, just only the dwarves make this kind of quality. And there's a dwarven runic inscription on it, which you are not able to normally straight off read.
Can I attempt to read it?
You can indeed,
because I've been trying to learn some stuff from Glar here. So
you could definitely try and.
Since there's nothing else here of interest, I'm going to try to take it. But I'd like to at least take an attempt to read what it says before I steal it.
Someone's ransacked this place.
Reclaim it.
You can definitely make a roll for the dwarven rune script.
I do have that on my sheet as a thing I want to learn. So, let me get over.
There's a spelling out there. It's like A. I think that's an A.
Right. So, go ahead and roll dwarven rune script.
Yeah, it's well, what do we? Let me.
What's that obstacle?
Yeah, I need to look this up. I'm gonna use the foreign languages as a guideline.
The guidelines.
Yeah.
I have to say, I'm a little disappointed with this wing. It, could have been better. I'm gonna leave a Yelp. I'm just gonna say, for my Dol Siriath vacation time.
You're gonna leave an incendiary review.
Yeah. Incendiary is might be putting it harshly, but.
Perhaps spicy would be a better term.
A little spicy, a little seasoning on top. Yeah.
So let's see. I think it's going to be 3.
Well, we'll give it a shot. All right. Well, it was worth a shot.
Not quite there.
However,
you can make out some of it, which you're fairly certain that there's like a name in there. So it's probably like some of it is talking about like a person, but
right,
you can't really make it out.
Sure.
You don't know the context enough for the runes.
Is the item able to be retrieved?
Yes, it's hanging on a wall display.
So it's just interesting to me. This place has clearly been ransacked.
Yes, but very cleanly. Nothing's been broken.
Right, but it's been ransacked. But they left an immaculately constructed axe on a wall that anyone could just take. I mean, am I the only person that thinks that's a little sus? I don't want to just grab it then. I think what I'll do is I'm gonna do a quick skirt back to and try to get Glarvier's attention.
Yeah, and that is entirely like you come back, you arrive in the center at the same time.
I will attempt to convey to him that there's an axe.
Yeah, you can point to his axe.
I'll point. Yeah, I'll do all that, and I would like to attempt to convey that it might be like cursed by him to read.
Yeah,
and I'll take him to it. Obviously,
I was going to say what I'll actually do is just basically get to give me like the rough directions, and then I'll suggest that Tyrell goes with Cameron to the lineage wing. So we don't leave him on his own.
We can swap.
Yeah,
that's
we'll
fine,
switch out.
There was nothing there for me, unfortunately, other than some pretty paintings. So hopefully you'll have a little bit more success. But yeah, I will go with Cameron to the
So Glarvier, you're going down the lineage hall. Now you can immediately tell, like you saw the beginnings of the royal hall because you can see that from the sort of central point. It's different. It's still like talking about the past of the peoples who lived here, but it's different in that the royal wing is all about the monarchy, and this is sort of about the history of the people as such. So it has a lot of like, oh, these peoples lived in this valley and these are their cultural artifacts. Like these are some of the pottery shards that we dug up, and these different people came from this other valley on this date. And it has a lot of the actual, I suppose, like what do you would call it, like anthropological sort of history that they've gathered. Now you can see, Glarvier, that they start digging into the sort of actual history wing, and you head on to the wing of the Alliance, and you can see all the grandiose paintings of the people of Dol Siriath, making friends with elves and dwarves. And you get to the end, there's this display like clearly some elven things should be here. They're not. Most of the dwarven things are gone as well. You can see some of the dwarven coins that I mentioned there, which to be valuable. They're quite old, and probably more valuable because of that. And you can see this axe, which again, it's a wonderfully constructed steel axe with gold and silver inlaid into it, and there's a runic script in gold.
Yeah, I was going to say, following Tyrell's instructions, the first thing I'm going to do is try and read it. Yeah,
so I'll put this in the shot, as we call it. So I'll read it out as well. So it reads, "An open hand to our friends upon the river and green fields, O King and Queen. Together against despair this day and all days to come. These are the words of Zagal Dwari Tharkat." And that's sort of like an epithet, like it's not the actual name, but that's a thing that dwarves call the sort of earliest dwarf king that they remember. And they do remember quite far back. So it's the first among the dwarves. It's sort of like your like semi-mythical ancestor, I guess, of the dwarves, like the first king way back.
Okay, now obviously if the city was sort of still under its rightful rule, I wouldn't think about taking this because it was gifted to them, but quite blatantly the people it's intended to be gifted to.
At the very least, they are substantially different.
Indeed.
At the very least, they're twats.
So what I'm going to do is, because like Tyrell, I'm rightfully suspicious of the fact that it alone has remained untouched. So first of all, I'm going to check around like the brackets that are holding it and stuff like that, make sure there's no sort of like
traps,
burglar alarms or traps or anything like that.
Yeah. You're, and this is me saying yes. So you're satisfied that there's no mechanical contraptions, the lurk